Hey guys, just wanted to welcome you to the Kings and Queen City podcast. To our friends and family who have found us, thank you so much. To mom, glad you're listening. Really appreciate you checking out our podcast. That's really cute. To the rest of you guys who have stumbled upon our podcast, Taylor and I are real estate investors out of the Charlotte, North Carolina market, and we're planning to put out a podcast that is going to share with you our journey in becoming real estate investors. We're going to share with you some of our wins. We're going to share with you a lot of our losses and some of our learnings along the way. But before we get started on all that, we wanted to tell you a little bit about ourselves. So Taylor, what are we going to tell them?
Let's start at the beginning.
That's a good, that's a good place to start. We should do that.
Ed already mentioned it, guys. Ed and me are twins. We grew up in LA, and mom and dad were teachers, both in LA Unified. Had the normal suburban upbringing, and kind of by way of some other things, we both ended up in the Marine Corps. Ed joined after me. As always, he follows me with everything in life, guys.
It's how it is, guys. It really is how it is.
Tiring, but you know what? It's tough. So I joined the Marine Corps. Ed followed me 3 months later.
Yeah, something on that scale.
Somewhere in that scale, yeah. We both end up in North Carolina is the short version. Ed ends up getting out after 4 years, and I served for another 4 in San Diego. Ed actually got a job. Ed, why don't you talk about that for a second and how you ended up where we're at now?
Yeah, sure. So let's see. We're in 2007. As Taylor mentioned, I was getting out of the Marine Corps. He had decided to stay in for another tour of duties for another 4 years. About that time, kind of took on a corporate job. And what was convenient about that is it kept me in the area where I had been stationed. And one reason that was compelling for me is during my time in the service, I actually purchased the home I lived in. And then I purchased our first investment property, which was a duplex in Havelock, North Carolina, which we still own to this day, which I'll absolutely tell you the story of.
It will have its own episode, team. I promise you.
That one has a special place in my heart. If you guys want to learn about how to lose $1,000 on a property every month, we can definitely teach you how to do that.
And on the first episode, guys, that's exactly what we're teaching you is how to lose money every month in all of your real estate investments. That's what you're going to learn in our show. Please come join us.
Please come join us. We know a lot about real estate investing. But all joking aside, guys, we often say, if you haven't lost money on a deal, or if a deal hasn't gone sideways on you, you probably haven't done enough deals, or you're probably not pushing the envelope quite enough. Not that I want you out there losing money, but I do want you guys out there taking risks and doing those things that move your business forward. And that's some of what we do hope to share with you in the course of our conversations here together. But okay, where were we, Taylor? 2007, got out of the Marine Corps, went to work, worked for a company for a while. I was in supply chain management of all things.
That sounds really, really exciting, Ed. I mean,
a lot of kids want to grow up to be supply chain managers.
Doctors, astronauts, supply chain managers. I don't think that I even know what that is, but I'm glad you did it.
I think they beat firefighters, yeah.
Is that what they tell you?
That's what they told us.
Okay.
So yeah, in short, for those who don't know, basically I spent my time negotiating what a company pays for products that they buy to manufacture other products. So things like, imagine a screw or a bolt. And I would spend my days arguing over pennies, and over the amount that the company would buy, that would mean millions of dollars in savings for that company. And so we did that for a while. And in fact, I was known to be in this industry. And in fact, I was recruited by a company that then moved me to Charlotte. Arriving in Charlotte, let's see, that was fast forward from 2007 to 2010. Arrived in Charlotte, went to school very quickly, got the MBA, got that little check in the box, very important degree, very, very valuable to me. A little sarcasm there, guys. No offense to anyone who has advanced degrees. Have found a way to put our work ethic to work in another way and not utilize or rely on credentials from a accredited institution to do that.
Call it formal education.
More formal education. That's probably the right term. So let's see, 2010, I got to Charlotte.
About that time, I was actually getting out of the military. By way of some travels, I went by a couple places and I ended up in Charlotte.
2012, completed the MBA. Early 2013, went and got the realtor license, because that's how you are successful in real estate.
Kind of leads us into our first adventure in what we would call investing today. Ed started working for a company, and Ed, I'll let you tell a little bit about how that worked and what we did there.
Yeah, sure. A big move in the market was that these hedge funds, think BlackRock or any of the others, were buying residential real estate to rent out, basically making a massive play on the real estate market as a whole. And so what I began to do is I began to package these properties for their purchase. And what I discovered was I was actually able to understand the buying formula for each of these major hedge funds. So, given any property, I could tell you which hedge fund would pay the most for that property, which would pay the least, and if it was even a property they were interested in buying. And a lot of people would say, wow, that's great. You have this huge institutional buyer in your pocket and they're buying all sorts of property. It wasn't quite our experience. And we'll certainly devote an episode to that and our view on institutional buyers. But what we found was, and I'll give you this takeaway, what we found was that as individual buyers, we could act much more quickly than most of these institutional buyers could make decisions. And so I'd really suggest that what started our real estate career was understanding the underwriting criteria of these major buyers, and then which one of those was most optimal for us, and then being able to execute more efficiently. Taylor, would you agree with that?
Yeah. And something that, again, that'll be a whole nother episode. There was a specific instance that kind of sprungboard us from where we started there. It led us into a specific instance, and you guys will hear the story, I promise. I'm not one to even do this, like sell the sizzle and come back to it. But guys, you'll hear the story. It's something really important to us. We tell the story all the time. We ended up going into real estate investor meetings. You would know this locally as a RIA style meeting
or a meetup.
Yeah. We started there. Lots of people in our market and good friends of ours run those meetings and are good friends today. The advantage we have in our specific market here in Charlotte is I can go to a networking event almost every day because of how robust our real estate investing environment is, and friends and family and partners that all are so passionate about giving information. You guys will meet them on the show. We'll bring a number of those individuals on and discuss different topics with them.
Taylor, I think the thing you're leaving out is you actually helped co-found the largest real estate meetup in the Charlotte market.
Yeah, it's actually, depending what you measure, but we're one of the largest ones on the East Coast, specifically outside of the Atlanta market. If you don't take that into account, just because of how large Atlanta is, we're basically one of the largest on the East Coast. And was really involved in that for a while. Was
a lot of our early, I'm sorry, Taylor, but a lot of our early relationships really were developed out of that group.
Oh, entirely.
In fact, our early underwriting criteria really was based on a lot of the guidance that we received in that group. The great part about our underwriting criteria is that as we've developed as investors, it's developed as well. And so we've learned significantly more about how to properly underwrite a piece of real estate versus our early days. Would you agree with that, Taylor?
Yeah, we used to use a very simplified system, as many do, and they've had success in that market and time frame, where now we're more developed. We use something much more robust. We look at a different metric on how that's valuable to us as we're bringing partners into the equation. There's a different system that we use, and we're really excited kind of about where that's leading us and how we're doing.
Perfect. And we'll definitely talk about that on our journey in the podcast. We'll help you understand how we underwrite property, help you understand how it applies, and why some of the metrics that are used in real estate today are maybe not as effective as others.
Yeah. So Ed talked about us getting started in meetup space and helping people find real estate investing. That's led to a bunch of great relationships with a bunch of great people that actually led us to entering into a partnership. We got up to 28 single family homes, realized that single family homes weren't where we wanted to be in our business model. We sold out of that portfolio the summer of 2016.
That's right. Yep.
And now, kind of coming full circle to where we're at now, we're buy and hold investors primarily. We really enjoy what we do. We love sharing with the community. We are active real estate mentors in the Kingdom Real Estate. If you haven't seen that group yet, please check us out on there. And we get to spend our days spreading the message, talking about how you become financially free, how to add cash flow, and why that's better than some other alternatives that you can make money in real estate. And so excited to share that journey with you guys.
Yeah. And one of the things I think that we hope you take away from this podcast is there are many ways to make money in real estate. There's lots of exit strategies. There's lots of types of real estate that you can get involved with. At the end of the day, our experience is that if you're looking for individuals who have problems that you can properly solve, that those are the individuals who really need your help. And those are the deals that you're most thankful you were involved in. So I think, Taylor, we've done a good job of kind of getting people to understand how we got started. Maybe it would be helpful for us just to capture kind of where we're at today. And where that is that we have a portfolio of properties. Many of them are multifamily spaces. Some of them are single families that we've taken under creative financing structures. And then others we've used our private money relationships. And that's definitely something that we'll talk about in the podcast a lot. Taylor and I use a lot of our private money relationships to enter into a lot of our deals. And one of the dynamics we'll explain also in this podcast is the dynamic that real estate investors are going to have one of two problems in their business for the rest of their career. And that's either they're going to have enough capital or enough deals. But when they're in surplus of one, they're always in the deficiency of the other. And we'll talk about that dynamic in a lot of detail. But to capture where we're at today, we've got a number of buy and hold investments. We're also finishing off our largest ever fix and flip. That property will retail at a price point of about $600,000 or above. And we're definitely excited about all of the things we've been able to do there. Further, we're excited about the things that we're able to do. Taylor mentioned in the mentoring space, and the individuals whose lives we're able to impact by sharing just our journey and potentially helping them avoid some of the pitfalls that we ran into in our early days of investing. The deal structures that we use for deals, and even break down the numbers of those projects. We won't be able to do that while we're in the projects, but as soon as we exit them, we can share full disclosures, what we bought it for, what we had in it, what our private money was, what our costs were. All of those details can definitely be shared with you.
Guys, thank you so much for being on our first podcast. We look forward to sharing lots more with you. You can find us online at kingsinqueencity.com, on Facebook at Kings in Queen City. And if you haven't got a chance yet, if you'll subscribe, we'd really appreciate it so you can see all the new content.